There we go. Okay. We are live in the Funnel Utopia community for another episode of the Marketers Roundtable. So today we got Sabah Ali. I'm excited for this talk because we talk about, similar things, organic marketing, personal branding. She serves mostly coaches, is what I right. Okay. You serve mostly coaches, and I serve mostly like online service providers to agency owners, freelancers. But I'm really excited to talk about content because I know that's one thing a lot of my clients struggle with. They overthink it. It's like torture for them, et cetera, et cetera. And I know you have some programs right now that kind of helps people create content easily. So one of your accomplishments, right, is that you were on Forbes as a top coaches to work with.
Yeah.
Now we'll talk about that, but before, let us talk. If I'm meeting you for the first time, how do you introduce yourself?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk about all things when it comes to branding, content, social media, everything. But basically, I'm a business coach. So I support other coaches, some service providers, consultants, helping them create an unforgettable brand online that sells itself. So heavily of what I focus on is content, all about the art of attraction. So, you produce content, people find you basically just by the words that you're putting out there. 100% organically. And I've been doing that, geez, almost for like 4 years now. I graduated college 4 years ago, actually yesterday, and I got started my business 1 year after I graduated. So yeah, I've been doing it since then. It's been amazing.
Mm-hmm. So when you say business coach, right? Because sometimes I like to roast business coaches, right? Because
Yeah,
for me, I always think like, all right, a business, right, is more than just the marketing. It's the sales, it's customer support, team building a team, infrastructure, all that. So
yeah.
when you're a business coach, are you only helping with the marketing side, or do you help them from top to bottom?
Yeah, so it's so funny, and I love that you asked that because it's everything,
Mm,
right? The reason why, I focus on like branding and marketing is because that's what people know me for. That's what I
mm,
heavily focus on. And that's what I specialize in, right? Just like how you would market yourself, you want to be known for something. So
right.
that's more from like a marketing branding perspective. But like when I work with my one-on-one clients, like we go through everything, like
Mm,
offers, we go through marketing, we go through team building,
mm,
SOPs and systems and how to handle tough situations, mindset, like literally everything that you can think of.
mm,
But of course, from like, marketing perspective, branding perspective, people know me for that. And I also do want to say, like, I love doing that a lot more, right? So I'm going to focus on doing what I love. I love creating content. I can do it in my sleep.
mm,
I'm really good at marketing. But then on the flip side, like I don't like systems, I don't like hiring, but I know
mm,
how to do it, and I know that you need to know how to do it in order to build a
right,
business.
right,
Yeah, yeah. So basically everything, but I like certain parts of my business a little
right,
bit more, which is why I teach more of that.
right, right. So generally, a lot of service providers we go through like the same journey. At first, we're not really super clear on our offering. We're not super clear on our messaging. At first, we're doing everything from marketing, sales, delivery. So first off, like, how did you get into the game, and kind of like what were your early struggles when, in terms of helping other coaches and business owners grow their brands?
Yeah, for sure. So I basically got started in my business by other people actually coming to me asking for help because a lot of people don't know for the first few years when I was still in college, I was basically creating content because I wanted to. And
Mhm.
I was building a brand that way without really even knowing it. So before I ever even got into coaching, I already had an audience built up who had followed me into, writing my best-selling books, speaking on stages, growing my audience, creating really good content that got a lot of attention. So of course people wanted to learn how I was doing it. So for me, like the first client I ever got, it was, for 3 months, high ticket client. And I want to say like the struggle that I probably had early on was more so just understanding the mindset of like a business owner, right? Because up until then, all throughout college, I was just doing this for fun, right?
Mhm.
It wasn't necessarily, okay, like you're going to be a business owner, you're going to run this business,
Mhm.
right? And when I graduated college in 2018, it wasn't just like a business transition, it was a full life transition, right? I had been going to school for like years, like over a decade now. So I want to say during that time, like 2018 going into 2019, it was more of just like fully transitioning what I was doing and, you know, putting on the hat of a real business owner, and also knowing that, hey, like you're going to have a lot of pressure coming from your audience, coming from your clients, coming from your family members, because they don't necessarily know what you do quite yet, right? So going through all of that, I want to say that was like the hardest part. But of course, like I'm a coach. I've always had other coaches and mentors that supported me. So I want to say that's been like the biggest reason why it's been, I don't want to say easier path, but a simpler path rather than like me doing it myself all these years.
Okay, so now, all right. So it's funny you closed your first client. They were high ticket. How did you get the confidence to do that? Because my first client was like $150. So like,
So I'll clarify about that. So my first coaching client was high ticket. Prior to that, a lot of people also don't know that I went through a lot of like failed businesses. I was trying to find out what I wanted to do. I did podcasting for a little bit. I tried to monetize. I started my own like t-shirt line. I did drop shipping e-commerce. I did social media, like done for you agency work. I did that for about 8 months. I didn't like the model. So then I went into coaching. And, you know, like prior to that, I had sold so many different things, like low ticket, mid ticket. So my mentor, who I actually met when I was 19 years old through college, actually got me into like this world of entrepreneurship. He was more of a mentor rather than a coach, but he always told me from day one is like, charge your worth, like you're worth a lot more than what you're charging. So for me, when I finally got into like the coaching field, that was like 4 years ago. Back then, like high ticket was like very new. So I kept hearing high ticket, right? So like naturally there's so much online that you can do research about to like learn what high ticket is. So I'm like, okay, like I crafted out an offer and I honestly didn't think anyone would buy it. Like I post on my social media, I'm like, hey guys, like I'm gonna be a coach now. This is what the offer looks like. It was basically 3 months of one-on-one. I'm going to teach you how to build your brand by like audience growth, like content creation, showing up on video. And like, that was it. I wasn't promising you're going to make 10K a month or 6 figures because I wasn't even making that back then. What happened was someone commented and he had been following me for a while, but I didn't think he'd actually buy anything because he was also much older than me. He was in his mid 40s. Back then I was like 21 years old, straight out of college. I'm like, there's no way in hell he's going to buy something from me. So get on a call with him. The call goes amazing. You know, we hit it off, right? And it comes towards the end. He's like, okay, like what's the investment? And I was like, it's $4,000.
wow.
And I'm just like, I said it in that tone too, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like back then I couldn't even like receive that amount of money. Like there's a lot of, you know, mindset work I had to do around that. And he was like, okay, like let's do it. Let's do it. And like after that client, of course I asked him, I'm like, why did you choose to work with me versus anybody else who's already in business, you know, making millions of dollars? Like, why me? And he said, I've been watching you post every single day throughout college. I admire your consistency, your confidence, your personality, and you definitely do know how to build an audience and community, right? Because he like actually watched me do that, like from day one to like, you know, till the day I graduated, and I got featured on ABC and NBC, Fox, like all these different places. So when I realized that, like, once again, people buy based on you, your personality, and your brand, not necessarily always like the tangible outcome that you see people flashing online. Right. So that's why I always tell people, my audience and my clients, like, it doesn't matter your results. Like my results I had back then, that's what he wanted. Your, you know, $1 million day might be someone else's results, but like someone might want to buy into somebody who just sold their like $100 offer because they can't even fathom, you know, bringing in $1 million in a day. Right. So that's basically, that was basically the story of my first ever coaching client. And from there, it just gave me more it gave me more confidence that I didn't need to have like a 6-figure, 7-figure business, of course, right off the bat, because that's not even, real in order to be successful.
And I want to unpack that. So I like what you said when you were talking about how people don't necessarily buy all the flashy stuff; they buy more so into you. And I know that's true because this weekend I just closed it was for like a beta program. It's $1,500, and this dude, I posted a video from Mardi Gras. I went to Mardi Gras. I wanted to make the trip productive, so I decided to do like a little public interview, and I was just talking to girls. And he was like, you know why I decided to reach out to you and work with you is because you were talking to those girls. And he was like, yeah, a lot of these internet marketers are like nerds, but like you seem cool. You seemed cool. So he was like, yeah, I quoted him whatever. I quoted him for the 1,500. He said, okay, cool. And then just like that, he became a client. And obviously it was more than just that. Like obviously I post results from other clients and whatnot, but yeah, like that's one thing that's super important is just being yourself. Marketing is about like innovation, right? It's like, for example, Alex Hormozi, he's super popular right now. Instead of being another person selling a course, I mean, he obviously doesn't need to, but his whole angle is like, I'm not selling you courses. Gary Vee, for example, he also does the same thing, and it makes you stand out. So what better way to stand out than just be yourself, right? Especially because like I feel like everyone is always seeing those templatized posts on their Facebook, and it's just like you just kind of ignore it, right? Now with content, so when your clients, right, look at content like torture, right? It's just like, oh my god, I have to post today. I always tell people document, don't create. I stole that from Gary Vee, but that's what I always say, right? So what do you tell your clients?
Yeah. Well, honestly, the exact same thing that you said, right? Because for me, like when I got into business, like I didn't get started in creating content online to sell a product. I did because I wanted to, right? So like I truly was like documenting all throughout college. Like people know me for documenting every single day of my last year of college, senior, for like 265 days straight. I did a daily Facebook Live until like the day I graduated. And like people know me for that. So for me, it was like regardless, like how do I even explain this? Sometimes it's like the hardest thing to explain because creating content is like a part of me. Like I will post pictures of like me on like a walk and like out to dinner. And I'm not doing it because I'm trying to sell something. I'm doing it because I genuinely want to do it. Right. So like sometimes when people like, clients do come to me, they're like, I can't be consistent. I don't know how. I'm like, stop thinking about selling your product. Like that's why it's so hard for you, because you're expecting something to happen after you post. Right. So even the mindset of you having that's going to like repel people because you're going to change your language based on you trying to get a transaction. Right. So for me, it's like, what message do I actually want to share today, regardless of if I was ever selling anything or not? Naturally, if I am selling something or I'm in the midst of a launch, like my thoughts are going to be around that product because I know every single person out there needs to be part of the offer. So like when it comes to creating content, like stop thinking about what do I need to say to sell my offer, but what message do I want to share to actually shift someone's reality from like where they may be at right now, based on, of course, like a pain point or even a desire that they do have. Right. It's like when I see people marketing their offers, they focus way too much on like the features, like, like this is the method, you get like X amount of calls, like go buy it. And that's why people can't sell their offers, because it sounds like everybody else selling like, a social media program. Right. It's like there's nothing different about it. So the minute that you can actually, what I call emotionalize your content, make it actually real to the consumer, to the client, it makes it 10 times easier for them to reach out. And I love that you brought up, you made that post about talking to girls, or you're at Mardi Gras and you got that client, because it's probably about like a month ago now, I made a post that was very controversial. It was about OnlyFans. And I don't know if you saw it, but like I always get hate comments of like, oh, you probably get your money from OnlyFans, all the things. And someone commented on my Instagram, and I finally made a post out of it. And I posted on social media, and like it had nothing to do with any of my programs, no call to actions at all whatsoever. But from that post, I had 3 clients reach out and work with me. And they're all 3 females. They had all been through something like that. And they wanted to use like their story, their power to express themselves in order to like build their business, exactly what I was doing. Right. So it's like those type of content pieces, like I genuinely wanted to share a message. And in result, like once again, people reached out because it hit them in a different way versus if I made a post about like, you know, you suck at creating content coming out with a program, go buy it. You know.
Yeah, and I just want to double down on everything you said. Recently, just kind of like the great unlock when it came to like making content that converts. Like it was almost like a Neo in the Matrix moment. What I kind of started to realize when I was beating my head on a wall trying to get one of my clients' results, is that like you don't want to talk about all the features and your offers because that's when you're doing sales, right? And no one likes to be sold to. Real marketing is about creating desire, and and people buy into something, they don't buy something. So they're not buying let's say Coca-Cola, they're buying happiness, or they're not buying Lamborghini, they're buying status. Right. So I always tell my client, I don't like give my clients templates, but I give them frameworks at least. I'm like, look, your person, right? Generally, my clients have been through the problem because with my company Expert Funnel Incubator, we do predominantly work with coaches. So they've already been through their journey. So you want to tell those stories that you're based on the problems that your ideal client is having, right? And then that helps them, let's say, step into your shoes. And then when you tell them about those epiphanies you had, and then you lead into your offer, that's when they want to buy your offer. And it's like, it's not about like adding a countdown timer to your sales funnel or anything that gets people to buy. It's the messaging. I always say it's showing the right person the right message at the right time is what marketing is, and then sales is showing the right person the right offer at the right time. So now let's talk more about, I think there was something I wanted to ask about content. Oh, so do you systemize your content creation process? Do you like pre-schedule things out? Because me, I'm like, I kind of just post how I feel. And I try scheduling things out weeks ahead, but I don't really need to do that. I always have ideas and I just post. So do you pre-schedule your content?
Yeah, so I used to do this a lot, and then I stopped because I just felt like not doing it anymore. So for me, it's more like I more so schedule out like my marketing just in terms of if I'm doing like free events, like when I am launching offers. If I do want to post like certain like type of content pieces, I'll schedule that out. But in terms of like actual like batch creating like word for word, I don't really do that anymore. I have like a note section on my iPhone where I have probably like over 200 half written posts that like I'll just pull up every single day and be like what do I want to share today? Or if I have something else that comes to mind, I'll just post that. And that's what I do. Like, of course, like it's not as simple as just like you create content and like clients come to you. Of course, there's strategy behind it too. Like I'll post certain type of content in terms of like certain type of content I'll post like that shows value, and then some of them will show more like belief, and like the other one will show more like stories. So like I do more of that, but like I don't have a like template out script for like the next like 3 weeks. Like on Monday, I'm going to post this. Tuesday, I'm going to post this. Thursday, I'm going to post this. I'm not saying that doesn't work because it does. Some of my clients would much rather do it that way, and I give them that and it works for them. For me, it just like I'm in this phase where it's like I don't want to do that. I used to do that, and then my team used to do that, and then that would be like good, right? But now just like I don't know, I just don't want to do that right now. And For me, like, also, like, the best content sometimes comes out when it's not scheduled, right? It's like when I talked about that post about OnlyFans, like, I wasn't planning to fit that into my marketing plan. I just posted it.
Right.
Right. So I want to say, like, you always want to have a combination of both. If you're just flowy all the time and sales aren't coming in, then of course there's a reason why, because you don't have strategy behind it. But then you also don't want to be on the other side where it's like, okay, I'm going to follow this exact same like template as every other coach out there. And then you wonder why it doesn't work. It's because there is no like unique factor to it. Like there is no realness.
Now, I want to talk a little bit more about sales and then offer creation, and then a little bit more about actually like business hiring, et cetera, et cetera. So, sales. So, how do your sales calls end up looking like? 'Cause my sales calls are always so easy because, again, I do good marketing on the front end. People trust me, they trust my systems.
Yeah.
And so when I get on calls, they're pretty short. Like people are pretty much already ready to buy. They just want to know the price. So, how do your sales calls normally go?
I love this question. So I actually stopped doing sales calls about 6 months ago.
Mm.
So I don't do them anymore. For the first 2 to 3 years of my business, that's how I sold everything, right? Like content, conversation, get on a call, close as a client. And I found the same thing happening, right? It's like, it was either every single person that did buy, they already knew they wanted to buy. So it was just like 30 minutes of like bullshit.
Right.
Like, this is my story. Like,
Right.
it's like, it just like, if people wanted to buy at the end, they would close. And then I found this group of people who just like wanted to get a call just to pick my brain, and like they weren't gonna buy regardless. Like they never bought. We did the entire like follow-up nurture process, like it just didn't happen. I'm like, okay, like I'm just wasting time by doing these calls. And for me, I never want to build my business in a way where like I would never buy that way. I always hated sales calls. When I buy, I never wanted to do a sales call. Like if I knew the program, like I knew the product, like I had bought like $30,000 masterminds through like Messenger, not needing a call. So I'm like, why the hell am I building my business in a way where I don't even like it? Like I don't even buy that way. So I stopped. And it was more so a transition of training my audience to start buying from me through like landing pages and through Messenger. Because of course, up until then, they were trained to get on calls with me. So there was a full like transition, but like just what you said, I was like more upfront about pricing. Like people know how much it is to work with me for like low ticket, mid ticket, high ticket offers. And like that's that, right? Because the way I look at it is, if someone wants to know more about like the program, if it's a right fit, like the pricing, you can do that through like voice notes and Messenger, right? It's like you don't need to get on a call with them. I'm still not like, I'm not opposed to doing sales calls. I think it's great. It works for some people. And every so often, like I'll get on a call with someone if they want to work like high level one-on-one with me, just to like vibe for like 5 to 10 minutes. Like once they already know the price, they already know everything. They just want to like talk to me. I'm like, okay, cool. Like let's just get on a quick call, and like that's it. But I'm not getting on calls to like handle people's objections. Yeah, like my content. Like if you have an objection, then like go read my content. Like my job isn't to persuade you to work with me. It's like my clients know if they want to work with me, like they will lead themselves to reach out and buy.
I love that. I love that. I like how you said you train your audience to buy.
Yeah.
I never heard someone put it like that. Now, offer creation. So like what is your kind of like value ladder look like, and like how expensive does Sabah get?
Yeah. So I have low ticket offers. So I have like master classes. I have recordings that I sell.
Now, I don't want to interrupt, but what is the psychology behind having low ticket offers? Because for me, it's like it's not like the most profitable necessarily. Well, what do you define as low ticket?
Yeah, so low ticket for me is like a few, I want to say like less than $500.
Okay. I always say like below 100, but yeah, your low ticket's a
Okay.
little, your low ticket's a little lower. So, when you're thinking about low ticket, is it like is it the most profitable thing for you, or is it just to get people in the door, get them some quick results so they can extend up the ladder?
Yeah, so my thought process has changed. Like I used to think of it that way, where it's like
Mm,
people will of course ascend, and of course that still happens.
mm,
But for me, the way that I also look at it is like I like about 6 months ago, I wanted my business to also be a lot more like passive, where I
mm,
wasn't like I didn't have to like coach on calls all the time. And I love coaching, but like I also just wanted more like time.
mm, mm,
So I shifted to focus more on selling those low mid-ticket offers that are like either live or evergreen, and it's working really well, right?
mm,
So like it's been very profitable for me because I do have email sequences set up. I do have ways I sell on Instagram for evergreen offers and live offers. But for me, like, yeah, low ticket is live master classes, pre-recorded master classes. I do a lot of bundles
mm,
too. So like flash bundles for like seasons and holidays. People love that. And then when you get into like mid ticket, that's more so like if I'm doing mini group programs or like accelerators. And for me, mid ticket is like anywhere from like $1,000 to $3,000. And that's like not very high ticket, especially if you put in
mm,
payment plans too.
mm,
And then of course you have your higher ticket, which is like masterminds, one-on-one coaching, events, like anything else that
mm,
you put in that area. And that's like, you know, like 5,000 going up to like 10,
mm,
20, 30,000, whatever. And the way that I look at it is I know there's people in my audience who will never buy into my high
mm,
ticket, right? I think it's almost like stupid to think every single person is going to buy into
mm,
high ticket
mm,
because that's just not real,
mm,
right? So for me, like my main goal is every time I put out an offer, whether it's low, mid, or high ticket, the quality is going to be exactly the same, whether if someone is going to buy into a $100
mm, mm,
offer or like $100,000 offer. Like I don't have an intention of, okay, I'm going to set up this masterclass to like upsell into mid ticket and then into high ticket. Naturally, it just flows because I always tell people what they can join next.
mm,
But I also do know sometimes people will teach people to create low ticket masterclasses to not give that much away, to only
mm,
assign
mm, mm, mm,
ticket. And I'll tell you, like, I used to do that too, because that's what like I learned from
mm,
other
mm,
coaches. But I got to a point where just like it didn't feel good for me to do. I didn't like doing that. And like what I found is if people want to ascend into the next one, like they will.
mm,
Right. And like the more that you put into your low mid ticket offers, it's just like they're gonna get better results.
mm,
They're gonna
mm,
come back regardless. Um, so for me, that's what it looks like. Like I also have people, of course, in my audience who just watch, spectate, never like anything. And randomly, like what you said, like right offer at the right time, they'll reach out and like buy my highest ticket offer.
mm,
So I think it's more about being consistent when it comes to selling. I sell every single day. If you click on my stories, my emails, like I will sell every single day. Why not? Like,
right.
and I
Right.
create content every single day. So I feel like if you're doing those two and you do have a strategy behind it, like it should flow. It
Mhm,
should work.
mhm, mhm. Now let's talk about hiring and your team. So right now, how big is your team?
Yeah. So I have a pretty lean team. It's myself, and then I have three other people. So I have two VAs, and then I have someone who helps me more with like tech and like graphic things, and then the other two just help me with like customer support, random
Mhm,
things, kind of like operations too.
mhm,
I used to have somebody who was sales for me. So he did sales calls, like messenger, closing, all the things. But of
mhm.
course, I'm not really doing
Right.
sales calls anymore. So I don't need that anymore. And then I used to also have another coach who would support me with my clients. I shifted the way I was doing my offers. So I don't have like 90-day, like I don't have like the set 90-day programs which are evergreen. I
Mhm,
used to have a program where anyone could join all the time. It was evergreen. And yeah, people could just join it for like 3 months. It was a group program. So for that type of program, I need a coach to like help me assist my clients. But when I transition out of that, it's for me so much more leaner. Like I don't need excess help based on how I have my offer structured. So it's more of just like the back end tech payments type of things that I need support with.
Mm-hmm. Now, who sort of helped you build infrastructure in your business?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so last year I was a part of a mastermind that, and this was back when I was doing the sales calls,
Mm-hmm.
90-day program, all the things, who really helped me with the entire infrastructure. So like the entire systems of like SOPs, and I use Asana as like a project
Mm-hmm.
management with my team. I use Slack. So they help me set everything up. It's much more streamlined now. So we have everything set up, and how we do like our team meetings, focus on every area of the business. I make it really simple. So I just use Asana, Slack, and Google Drive. I know people use like High Level and like all these other things.
Right.
For me, it's just too complicated.
Yeah.
It's simple enough. I don't think I need to systemize anymore.
Mm-hmm.
For
Mm-hmm.
some people, it works. For me, it's like that's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I feel like, of course, with team and with business, as you scale, like you just continue to systemize, right? Like just small tweaks of, people getting access to like the course area, and like just follow up emails to make sure like they did everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'm trying to even think of everything that I got set up. So like, yeah, people onboarding for like one-on-one, like booking their call. Like I used to always do that on like a call. Now it's all just streamlined, right? So it's like the only time I'm actually like giving away is like the actual coaching call. Like I don't have to get on like on onboarding calls or anything like that. So yeah, it's been awesome. I feel like every business needs that, because even when you are in the midst of doing that, it's like time that you're giving away, like 10 minutes here, 20 minutes here, 30 minutes here. And like it adds up over time. And when I was doing all that myself, I didn't realize it until I actually wrote it down. Realized it would take me like hours and hours a week to do that. Right. So if you're in your business right now and you're at a point where it just feels like a lot, I would highly encourage you to write every single thing that you do in a day for like 5 days, and see how much that you can actually delegate and give to somebody else.
All right. So some last a few last questions, closing questions. So what does like a day-to-day then look like for you?
Yeah, my days are very different. It depends if I have like live coaching calls or not. But like today, Mondays are probably the busiest. I usually schedule a lot of like my interviews and things today, but like I usually wake up 5:45 a.m. I'm a morning bird. So I wake up, I do my morning routine, journal, meditate, I go work out at 6 a.m., get done at 7, get ready, and I'm usually like working for the day around like 8:30. And in the morning, I just like do all of like my deep work, I call it. So, if people need links to buy things, I go through my messages, I'll post my content around noon. If I am doing interviews, I'll do that. If I'm like, I don't know, creating a new offer, I'll do that. And then like I'll just check in with my clients. And in the afternoon, if I have client calls, I'll do that. Once again, like my entire business is based on content. So if I'm like creating like videos or like reels, I'll do that in the afternoon. And that's honestly about it. Like when I shifted how I was doing my business, I got a lot of free time, because that time that I have now, it was spent on calls, doing sales calls, like discovery calls. Um, and even just like I had a lot of calls with like my 90-day program. And some of them, they were just like, I was on the call and like it could have been systemized more. Right. So now, like, my days are basically like I'll coach my clients, like one-on-one clients. And then if I am in the midst of doing like a mini group program, I'll do those calls. And then the rest of the time, it's just like posting content, doing some like random back end work.
So you said something. I think I wanted to ask this earlier, but
Yeah.
you just reminded me. But you post to Instagram. So is Facebook? I'm sure you use what Facebook, Instagram, and email. Those are probably your top 3
Yeah.
platforms.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to closing these high paying clients, where do you get most of your clients from? Facebook or Instagram or email?
It's honestly like, so recently it's been, I want to say more Instagram and email, and then still Facebook. I want to say it's like like a third each. Like third comes from Facebook, third Instagram, third email. A lot, like when I transitioned what I was doing like around 6 to 8 months ago now, like a lot of it came from like Facebook and Instagram. But then recently when I started to do more of like the automation, more of like the low ticket, like I started to focus more on email. So naturally more came from that. But like if I were to like really niche down, email and then stories, Instagram and Facebook stories is where I get the most amount of clients, because I sell on my feed posts, but like I treat Instagram stories, Instagram and Facebook stories like this is what's going on. Like these are my offers. I'm very blunt. I will share the price. And people really like that because people need to know the price in order to buy.
Exactly.
So, like, if you're hiding the price, then like no,
Right.
people aren't buying because they don't know. And
Mm-hmm.
like they also are afraid if it's like a lot, they're not gonna reach out like regardless, you know? So yeah, those have been the platforms that I've gotten the most attraction. And Instagram, I feel like people just buy easier because I want to say Instagram, it's a lot more like intimate, like it's just your profile and that's it. On Facebook, there's like groups and ads, and there's so much going on. So I feel like Facebook, it takes a little bit more nurturing than it does on Instagram and email. But yeah, it's like it's a split between all of them.
Now, investing. So I sometimes I find that, well, when I first started out, I would buy a bunch of courses, right? I
Yeah,
would just buy, just buy course after course. I was a course junkie. Now, I'll see some of my clients doing that where they'll be working with us and they keep buying more and more courses. And I'm like, you don't need to buy more information. You just like, we taught you everything you need to know. It really just comes down to putting in the work. And I think sometimes people need to rather invest in the team versus buying more information. And then I was watching an Alex Hormozy video and he was talking about how he just never bought a sales book in his life. So
yeah,
what do you think about investing in I mean it's kind of a generic question, like investing in
yeah,
information, books, masterminds.
yeah.
Why do you do it? Maybe that would make the question easier to answer.
Yeah, so of course, I feel like it depends on like what stage you're at in your business. Of course, if you're just starting and you have no idea how to like market or sell, then you need to learn how to do it. Right? I feel like it's also self-awareness. Some people like they will teach themselves, right? It's like they will go out and they will, listen to every YouTube video, they'll read every single book and they'll actually implement, they'll learn themselves versus other people like they physically will not do that until they actually invest money, right? So I want to say for me, I was like both of those people, right? Because like I would go out, I've read so many books, like watch so many videos that I implemented, but I also do know like I can get somewhere a lot faster if I learn from someone who's already done it, right? So for me, like I always invested, I've always had a coach, I'll probably always have a coach, right? But in terms of like the type of investments, like course, like program, high level coaching, I still buy into master classes. And the reason why is because like like right now in my business, like I know the basics of like and like the in-depth detail of like marketing, sales, like everything, right? It's like I don't need to buy a program on like how to sell. Like I know how to do that. But like I will still buy like low ticket master classes and courses on like very specific subjects. Because I also do know I will go through it all and I'll actually implement, right? But I feel like people, like what you say, like people do it out of spite of if I invest, I'm just going to become a millionaire. But they miss the point of actually implementing it.
Right.
Right? It's like they sometimes think even investing into like a $30,000 mastermind will get them to seven figures when that's like that. I sometimes say like that shouldn't even be celebrated because you're just doing what's like actually mandatory in order to build a business if that's how you actually want to get the help, right? I also don't think, like I always contradict myself, like I also don't think you need to invest in order to be successful. Like that's not a requirement to do. But once again, self-awareness, if you know that you can't move without having someone to support you, then like there you go. You know, that's kind of your answer.
Right. Now, last question. So, it's one of my favorite questions. So,
Yeah.
all right, you got to start from this from scratch again, right? Let's just say 0 to 100K in the fastest amount of time. What are your what platform are you going after? What's like your day-to-day look like? How do you get to that point?
Yeah, 0 to 100K. So I would basically craft out probably a mini group program, price it anywhere from like $1,000 to $5,000, and I would do a launch for it. So simple as, creating content, like basically exactly what I'm doing right now. I probably nurture my audience if I start from 0 for like 2 to 3 weeks. Nurture them and get their feedback on what they need, want, desire. And then I would create anywhere from like a 1 to 3 free day training challenge, get them to sign up. And then, of course, I would sell on the back end of this program that I'm launching. And then I do official launch for the program. And that's how I get my people in. And like 0 to 100K, like once again, it depends. If you're pricing something for like a few $1,000s, you can hit 100K within that launch. If you're pricing something that's lower, then you might need to do like 2 or 3 offer launches. But like, honestly, like 100K, of course, like when I first started, like that was like my goal. And just like what we started this interview with, I want to say the main thing was like a mindset shift, because everything I was doing back then, I still do now, but it really was like my belief and the way that I was looking at my business. Because back then, like I didn't prioritize my tasks as a business owner. Like I would be like, okay, like now I have to create content, like let me post. And then like I'd go off and do something else and then be like, oh my gosh, like I forgot to send an email, right? So it's like stupid things like that where I was bringing in like clients, but it wasn't structured. Like I had no structure. It was way too flowy. So like the main thing that I would do is like put on the hat of like a real business owner. Like these are the things that I have to do to maintain my business. And then these are the extra things that I can do to have my business actually grow exponentially. So that's what I do. Like there's no secret behind it. People have probably heard this model a million times because it works. Like that's what it is. But if you're doing it right now and it's not working, like I would really take a look at, for one, are you actually looking at your business as a real business in all areas, not just like selling your offer, but in terms of how you're showing up? Are you in integrity with your own payments, with your coach? Are you actually implementing? Are you actually doing what you're teaching? Most of the time, a lot of people aren't. Like there's been so many times where I had to ask myself that. I'm like, oh, I'm out of integrity in this area. Let me fix it. And like naturally I feel so much better and naturally I will attract more. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but that's what I do.
This is the answer that people need to hear. So anything to promote?
Ooh. Yeah, so for free, I have my Facebook group, Unforgettable Coaches. So I can drop the link somewhere for that earlier on.
I'll do that. I'll do that.
Yeah, so I have a bunch of free trainings on there, everything from like offers to like team building and sales. And then I do have a content program that's happening right now. We start on May 23rd. It's one of my mid-ticket offers. So if you are interested in that, just feel free to reach out. But yeah, that's basically it.
Awesome. So this has been one of my favorite conversations. Thank you, Sabah, for coming on the Marketers Roundtable. And if you guys are watching on YouTube, you know what to do. If you're watching on Facebook, you know what to do. With that being said, that's been another episode of the Marketers Roundtable. See y'all later.
Bye.